The morning I found Patricia Brennan dangling from my fence like a discount piñata still haunts my dreams. Not because it was traumatic, but because I had to stop myself from laughing while calling 911. Her designer tracksuit was caught on the fence posts, one tennis shoe missing, the other wedged between two slats, and my 110 pounds Rottweiler Duke was sitting beneath her like he was waiting for candy to fall out. The entire cul-de-sac of Birchwood Heights gathered on my lawn within minutes, and I swear old Mr. Peterson brought a folding chair and lemonade. Let me back up because this story needs context. My name is David Harper and I'm a 42-year-old software engineer who moved to this supposedly quiet neighborhood in Riverside, California 3 years ago. I chose Birchwood Heights specifically because it promised peace and quiet after my divorce. What the real estate agent failed to mention was that the HOA president, Patricia Brennan, ran this place like her personal kingdom. Patricia was 53, drove a white Range Rover with a personalized plate that read BOSLADY, and had the unique talent of turning any conversation into a violation notice. It started innocently enough with a welcome basket that contained HOA bylaws instead of muffins. Then came the first violation notice for my mailbox being the wrong shade of black. Not the wrong color, mind you, but the wrong shade of an approved color. I repainted it. She sent another notice saying the paint finish was too glossy. According to subsection 12.4 of the HOA handbook, all mailboxes must have a matte or semi-gloss finish, never full gloss. The real trouble began when I installed a small vegetable garden in my backyard. Patricia appeared at my door within hours, clipboard in hand, informing me with a syrupy sweet voice that food gardens were prohibited as they attracted vermin. When I pointed out that the Johnsons had tomato plants, she said those were decorative tomatoes. I asked what made a tomato decorative versus edible. She said it was about intent, then cited me for hostile questioning of HOA authority. Things escalated when I put up a 6-foot privacy fence around my backyard. It was perfectly legal, properly permitted by the city, and painted in HOA-approved desert sand. Patricia measured it herself 3 times, desperately searching for a violation. When she couldn't find one, she invented one. She claimed my fence encroached on HOA common area by 18 inches. I had a professional surveyor come out who confirmed my fence was actually 2 foot inside my property line. Patricia said the surveyor was wrong. She said her nephew studied geography in college and he measured it differently. The war truly began when I installed security cameras after catching her in my backyard with a tape measure at 2 o'clock in the morning. She filed a complaint saying the cameras violated her privacy. I countered that they only recorded my property. She said the cameras could theoretically see into HOA airspace. Yes, she actually used the term HOA airspace with a straight face. The board sided with me, which was her first defeat in 7 years of tyrannical rule. Patricia retaliated by sending daily violation notices. My grass was 1/4 in too long. My driveway had an oil stain the size of a dime. My wind chimes exceeded acceptable decibel levels during moderate breeze conditions. She actually brought a sound meter to measure wind chime volume. I started keeping the notices in a binder that grew to 3 in thick in just 2 months. Then came the Duke incident. Duke was my Rottweiler, a gentle giant who spent most of his time sleeping on the couch and occasionally barking at suspicious butterflies. Patricia filed numerous complaints about Duke being a dangerous breed. She claimed he lunged at her through the fence, which was interesting since Duke was at the vet that day getting his teeth cleaned. She said his barking disturbed her meditation practice, though several neighbors confirmed Duke rarely barked and Patricia's meditation practice consisted of drinking wine while watching reality TV at maximum volume. The situation reached critical mass when Patricia decided my property extended 3 feet into what she called historic HOA preservation land. This preservation land was literally a strip of dead grass between my fence and the sidewalk that nobody had touched in 20 years. She showed up one morning with orange spray paint marking a new property line that would have taken a chunk of my backyard. I told her to leave. She said she had HOA executive authority. I said I had a property deed. She said deeds were subject to HOA interpretation. That night, I heard noises in my backyard around 11:30. I checked my security cameras and couldn't believe what I saw. Patricia had a ladder propped against my fence and was climbing over with a bag of what looked like tools. She was wearing all black like some kind of suburban ninja, except her rhinestone phone case kept catching the moonlight. I watched in amazement as she struggled over the fence, got her jacket caught, and tumbled into my yard with all the grace of a tranquilized bear. Duke, who had been sleeping in his doghouse, emerged to investigate the commotion. Now, Duke wouldn't hurt a fly unless that fly was trespassing at midnight with questionable intentions. Patricia saw Duke and immediately started scrambling back toward the fence. In her panic, she tried to climb back over, but got her expensive tracksuit caught on the fence posts. The more she struggled, the more tangled she became until she was hanging upside down like a very angry chrysalis. Duke sat down beneath her and started barking. Not aggressive barking, more like he was announcing to everyone that something weird was happening. And could someone please come look at this strange lady hanging from the fence? Patricia was screaming about lawsuits and assault charges while Duke occasionally tilted his head like he was trying to understand what species she was. I called 911 and calmly explained the situation to the dispatcher, who had to mute herself twice because I could hear muffled laughter. The entire neighborhood woke up from Patricia's screaming and Duke's announcement barking. Within minutes, my front yard looked like a block party. The Washingtons brought coffee, then Gwyn set up lawn chairs, and teenage kids were live streaming the whole thing. The fire department had to cut Patricia down from the fence, which took 45 minutes because she kept threatening to sue anyone who touched her designer tracksuit. The EMTs checked her over and found she had minor scratches from the fence, a sprained ankle from the fall, and what they described as a severely elevated sense of entitlement. The police took statements from everyone, reviewed my security footage, and charged Patricia with criminal trespassing, attempted vandalism, and disturbing the peace. The best part came during the emergency HOA meeting the following week. Patricia showed up in a neck brace she definitely didn't need, demanding I be expelled from the neighborhood for assault with a deadly animal. The board president, Walter Simmons, who had been waiting years for Patricia to implode, calmly presented my security footage to the entire assembled neighborhood. The footage showed Patricia's complete fence climbing fiasco in high definition, complete with audio of her muttering about teaching me a lesson and showing me who really runs this neighborhood. The vote to remove Patricia from her HOA position was unanimous, except for Patricia herself, who voted against it while claiming the entire board was conspiring against her. She tried to make a dramatic exit, but tripped over her own purse, which someone definitely didn't accidentally place in her path. Her replacement was Margaret Chen, a retired judge who immediately suspended all fence height regulations and declared that gardens of any kind were acceptable as long as they didn't include illegal plants. Patricia tried to sue me, the HOA, Duke, the fence manufacturer, and somehow the city of Riverside. Her lawyer dropped her after she insisted Duke had been trained as an attack dog by a secret military program. She represented herself in small claims court where she presented a theory that I had orchestrated the entire event using psychological warfare tactics I learned from YouTube videos. The judge dismissed everything and ordered her to pay my legal fees. The criminal charges stuck, though. Patricia got 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, specifically helping at the local animal shelter, and a $5,000 fine. When the judge read the sentence, she stood up and shouted that she didn't recognize the court's authority because she was a sovereign citizen of the Burwood Heights HOA. The judge added 50 more hours of community service for contempt. Her face turned purple and she stormed out claiming she would appeal to the Supreme Court of HOA Affairs, which doesn't exist.